Romone, I'm 25, I'm from London, and I am a cabaret artist and drag performer. When I first started, I wasn't even really interested in kind of doing drag. It was more just like, oh, that performing, there was like a lip sync competition at the local bar. I'm like, oh, I'll enter it. I have a history in dance. Like, yeah, I'll enter it, that's a good cash prize, that sounds great. And then from then, people wanted to start booking me. And then I was like, oh, I should probably start buying wigs and start buying makeup and actually put on heels and actually like make an effort. And then 3 years later, I'm like, obviously outside of COVID, normally kind of like touring and just like performing and doing like sold out shows, and it's really, really cool. So yeah, it's been a very gradual thing. I think one of my main challenges was finding who I was, because I feel like I didn't see much representation in terms of like black drag queens. So even like watching like RuPaul's Drag Race for years and that, I never felt like that was for me, because I didn't see like my specific brand of like blackness being portrayed on the show. It's only around like season 9 when like someone like Shayko Lake comes on this, like, the show, and she's talking about how she grew up in the suburbs and people say that she talks white and like she has a very artistic perspective on her drag, and I'm like, oh, like if I was on the show, I would have done it like her. And that was that kind of like starting for it, kind of just like understanding myself and understanding what I have to say nice and how to communicate that, because I feel like performing's great, but drag is so political, and it's like if you have nothing to say with your artistry, then why are you doing it in the first place? The biggest thing that I learned ever is that no one cares. I know that sounds really stupid, but no one cares. If you worry about like, oh, like I made this really small mistake, to other people watching you, that's just some person, that's just like drag queen number 3 in the movie of their life. Whereas like you're the headliner in your life, you know what I mean? And it was like, no one cares. Like everyone's out just to have fun and like enjoy performing. Like it's not like drama school, like the 8 count has to be perfect. It's like this is out in the real world where like it's not expected of you in the same way. And once you kind of let go and allow yourself just to exist, things become so much easier and you just have so much more fun.
Stop thinking you're the protagonist, like no one actually gives a shit.
No one cares.
Yeah.
I think the biggest misconception that I used to hear it quite a lot, not so much anymore, but it used to be quite like, oh, like you do drag so you want to be a woman. And for me, drag is my work uniform. I'm a performer before anything. Like I've spent my whole life doing like tap dance lessons and street dance and the acting and the singing and all of it. Like drag is the vehicle for me to do that, and especially as a queer person of color in the entertainment industry, you know, the men with the money and the suits aren't just coming to just like give you all the opportunities, and that you have to take them. And drag is one of those queer art forms where I get to take control of my narrative and get to say what I have to say. We're human beings. That's the thing. I think because of RuPaul's Drag Race and that, when you see like the really huge characters, people think like, oh yes, honey. Like, no, not all of us talk like that. Like some of us are quite meek and mild, and we're just like humans. And I think, especially in like the entertainment industry as well, gets a bit like, oh yeah, well they're just the clowns. Do you know? And they're just like for that like the campy entertainment. And don't get me wrong, a lot of drag is very camp and over the top and not necessary in any way. Like drag is as a job, it's stupid. But like as a job, like it's dumb. But like we're humans and we're people, and I feel just like we have a humanity and we're allowed to be like sensitive and soft sometimes, and that's okay. I studied musical theatre at college, but I never thought like I had a space in musical theatre, so that's why I kind of like went in to get my degree at music and ended up doing drag, and kind of just like didn't feel like that industry was for me. So then like 3 years later, to be back behind like a West End like theatre backstage, like getting ready to do a show that I had no intention of doing, I was just like, oh, like it's a full circle moment. It's really weird, yeah. And even like, because I get to do like the little like fun like pop star stuff, like I get to like dance with like Charlie XCX when she comes to like perform at Heaven and stuff like that, and that's cool. But like definitely doing like the big theatre shows and doing like the big drag conventions as well, that drag world when it came to Olympia, that was huge, because that's the stage of your peers, and the fact that I got asked to like perform on that stage in front of like international drag queens from the one at these times, I'm just like a couple years into my career, like the fact that I got asked to do that, I was like, thanks, like it's nice, yeah. Because I used to be really shy when I was younger, and I think I got to a stage with myself and I was like, I want to be a performer, but you can't do that and be shy, and you can't hold yourself back, because like no one else benefits from that. Like my biggest fear was like wasted potential, and knowing that you could have like lived up to so much greater things, but because you got in your own way, you couldn't do that. So once I understood that myself, I was like, I'm just gonna go and do it. And obviously I had people around me that didn't understand what I was doing, like what's he doing, like he's a cross-dresser, I'm just like, don't ask me any questions, I know what I'm doing, and I'm just secure in myself. So me, I'm my inspiration when it comes to that, yeah.